Finnegan death penalty trial in Clinton, Tennessee. Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $McAngie129, Cash App. We're going to start with Rebecca Dishman. The charges against her and what she pled guilty to last year. Woman pleads guilty in gruesome Oak Ridge murder will cooperate in death penalty case. 25-year-old woman is pleaded guilty to a gruesome 2020 murder in Oak Ridge and will cooperate with state prosecutors in the death penalty against her co-defendant, 7th Judicial District Attorney Dave Clark, announced Tuesday. Rebecca Dishman, 25, pleaded guilty to one count of first-degree murder in the death of 36-year-old Jennifer Gail Paxton. She was sentenced to life in prison for an additional 50 years to be served at 100% on 2 counts of rape of a child from a subsequent investigation. Dishman will be required to cooperate with state prosecutors in the case against Sean Finnegan, who could be executed for his role in Paxton's brutal death. The two were arrested after a search warrant was executed by the Oak Ridge Police Department and Tennessee Bureau of Investigation at a home on East Fairview Road in the early hours of August 6, 2020. According to the initial arrest warrants, Finnegan and Dishman lured Paxton into the residence with the promise of a place to stay. In December 2019, the two allegedly held her against her will with restraints, tortured, raped, deprived her of food and medical care, strangled her to death, and left her broken body in a stand-up freezer. Dishman's guilty plea was entered in court Tuesday with family members of the victims present in the courtroom. Trial date in Finnegan case was set for August 2024. She and Finnegan have been housed in the Anderson County Detention Facility since their 2020 arrest. I am grateful to the officers and prosecutors who have worked so hard on this case, Clark said in this release. This is a huge step in achieving justice in this case for these victims. So Rebecca Dishman, will be serving a life sentence plus 50 years for child rape. And this obviously came from her own mouth when she decided to tell Miss Mahogany Peacoat that she raped children. And you heard that in court this week at the Anderson County Courthouse in Clinton, Tennessee. Some will say, obviously, she has the mind of a child, because why did she confess to so many things? You're confessing to rape of children. You're confessing to assaulting a woman or being a party to assault of a woman, murder of a woman. It's a lot to digest because you just don't expect the person to be so forthright in admitting their sins and being a part of a crime. But she did. The death penalty is on the table for Mr. Finnegan. Will he receive the death penalty? The jury is out right now. Both sides have given their commentary and closing statements, and the state gave their commentary. They're supposed to resume tomorrow, so we will see what happens with both sides and if the jury will reach a decision pertaining to Sean Finnegan. What constitutes the death penalty? Finnegan is facing charges of first-degree murder, aggravated kidnapping, aggravated rape, abuse of a corpse, and tampering with evidence of the death of 36-year-old Jennifer Paxton. Once again, her body was found in an Oak Ridge home, stored there in an upright freezer. Warrants allege that Finnegan Dishman had lured Paxton to the home with a promise to have somewhere to stay December 2019. But instead, Paxton endured torture, rape, was held against her will with restraints before she was strangled to death. In 2022, General Dave Clark, the Anderson County District Attorney General, said he had intent to seek the death penalty in the case, and since then, Dishman entered a plea deal for life in prison for murder in exchange for her cooperation with prosecutors in Finnegan's case. She was also sentenced to additional 50 years to be served at 100% on 2 counts of rape of a child from a subsequent investigation. Now, Finnegan has pleaded not guilty, but if he is convicted of first-degree murder, the jury will be asked to balance aggravating and mitigating factors to sentence Finnegan to death or life without parole. Federal law states that the death penalty can only be imposed in cases where defendants are convicted of capital offenses such as murder, treason, genocide, or killing or kidnapping of a congressman, the president, or Supreme Court justice. The Isaacs law firm reports that the most common capital offenses in Tennessee are first-degree murder, but legislators did make aggravated child rape a capital offense earlier this year, as it should be. In Tennessee, 138 people convicted of rape or murder have been executed between 1916 and 2020, according to the Tennessee Department of Correction. June of 2022, Governor Bill Lee paused executions in Tennessee and ordered an independent investigation of the state's lethal injection methods. Currently, there are 45 people on death row, including one woman. And as most of you know, that would be the infamous Krista Pike. In this week's Ask Isaac 6 News, Lori Tucker sits down with attorney Greg Isaacs to discuss this case and how judges and juries in cases like these make decisions that choose between the death and life of a person convicted of heinous crimes. This is Channel 6 News for this commentary. Well, these are mitigating circumstances due to the fact she was tortured. She was kidnapped, lured under the guise of giving her somewhere to stay, and then she was tortured, kept there for, I don't know, so many days. The time frame is being argued in court. In the end, it doesn't really matter. I get it. Everything is supposed to have a stipulation, a time frame on paperwork. But in the end, you're still talking about a dead person who was found. Information was given by this Rebecca Dishman to the whereabouts of Miss Paxton. And to me, it is what it is. Let's chop it up. Day 2 through 4. Court will reconvene tomorrow, 9 a.m. What say you out there listening? What should happen to Sean Finnegan? What should happen to him? Should he get the death penalty? Do you believe he's guilty of the said offenses of rape, kidnapping, torture, storing a body, abuse of a corpse, during and after the fact? You heard commentary from law officials who intervened into this case by talking to Ms. Dishman and neighbors. You heard evidentiary material, padlocks, chains, dog collars, a woman tied to a bed by conversation from Ms. Dishman, a freezer that she was put into for 8 months and then taken out of once authorities went to the house or confronted Mr. Finnegan rather. He took her out allegedly. All this per information from Ms. Dishman, if you believe what she has said is true. A mother staying there who allegedly was on hospice, who was no longer alive now, Miss Frances Finnegan. Allegations that he abused her. And then we have the courts going back and forth between who said what and who's telling the truth. And that's what you heard in court today. The defense gave their version that he just was scared when the body was found. He knew they were coming because Dishman told it. So who do you believe? It was all her. She was the ringleader. She did all of this on her own in someone's house that she has no regulation. She was a visitor herself. Say, whoa. That's what the defense is claiming. The state is basically saying, well, we know what she's done is wrong. She's already gotten her sentence. But yes, she is the mouthpiece of this story. To say what allegedly happened in that house at 318 East Fairview Road, Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Who do you believe? Did she have a part in the unaliving of Miss Paxton? Did she torture the lady, cut her, beat her, sodomize her? What? What do you believe? A lot was told. Neighbors tried to help. Couple tried to help, get her help on that fateful day when this story broke. Miss Mahogany, the butterfly who just couldn't turn down being friendly. Now imagine what friendliness can cost you. You're now involved in a murder investigation. She also has let this thing into her house, who's also raped children. She and Mr. Finnegan. Say, well, allegedly she was the one that was more friends with Mr. Finnegan because they smoked weed together over his apartment. So we got interchanging. She's going to his apartment to smoke with Rebecca. Him. Rebecca's going over there talking. Their perception of her, she and her husband, she's childlike in behavior. She couldn't fend for herself. She couldn't navigate for herself. Obviously, she has some cognitive issues. But she's also sexually active and likes sex, kinky sex, had her own sex toys. All this came out during the trial. So much came out I can't even keep up. Feel free to throw what you want in anytime. But that's the point of the story. If you listen carefully to both sides, everybody has a perception of somebody, as I so kindly told someone on the chat in the comment box. I told everybody to be careful, the ladies. But the point is, the world is built on blind trust. You don't know people. And people have been accused of all type of heinous crimes, and you can best believe there will be somebody that will say, no, he wouldn't do that. She wouldn't do that. That's what you have here. But the only person saying is the defense. You don't see anybody else in the street rallying behind Mr. Sean Finnegan. Stay woke. Who's been jumping up on the news saying, hey, you got that wrong? Not him. Oh, not her. Ding, ding, ding. Because you don't know people. So Mahogany and Mr. Cope didn't know these two, just like they didn't really know Mahogany and her husband. This Kelsey person, the neighbor that lived on the end, who's just about as empty as they are, in my opinion. Kelsey. I believe I talked to this same lady when I went to the house and filmed my video a few years ago, and she said the same thing she said in court. And I heard a lot of banging. I said, oh, you didn't knock on the door, the window, the wall? No, I didn't. Dry. So dry. Dry like these two. Rebecca was bland in court, flat, as you heard cops say of her demeanor. You look at this thing here, in this caption on my screen, his eyes are open, but there's no blinking. The behavior of, to me, a drug addict, but he's been in jail a long time. But it's not to say they don't get drugs in there. But look how he looks, sedated in the eyes. He doesn't blink. He just stares. Say, well, something wrong with him. Even when the evidence was brought forward of the pictures of his handiwork, he couldn't look at him. Why not? Did his lawyer tell him not to look? I don't know. Somebody said that in the comment section. Queen, I believe his lawyer told him don't look. Because, he probably got aroused. He would have gotten aroused had he looked. And he knew that wouldn't be a good look. People looking at him, looking at the photos of his handiwork. So you got this crazy dynamic of who's right and who's wrong. Who shoulda, coulda, woulda. But in the end, he's the orchestrator. And the reason why I believe this is because of the obvious. He went and got this woman. Rebecca didn't go get her. He went and got her. A woman testified in court that worked with him that the woman frequented the area. She was a part of the homeless population in North Knoxville on Merchants. She came in to use the restroom, and he also worked there. That's good enough for me. I don't need a visual. The fact that he didn't want the woman to have a phone, telling the neighbors don't let her use their phone. Who does that? As you heard in the closing statements from the state. Oh, and I must say the state put on a show today. I need to shake that fella's hand because he gave the business. Oh, yeah, he put it on today. He's been the orchestrator all along. And if you go back in time, from my content, article published, he has allegations against him for kidnapping a woman in Blount County. And you don't hear any mention of that, and you haven't heard that mentioned in court. Because even if there was a sentence or whatever, it doesn't always make it into a court procedure, such as a trial. And that's unfortunate because these people need to know he's done this before to a woman. She pled with him who drove her back to Knoxville and let her go. 2015. Please check out my video on that commentary. And also check out my content where I go to the scene of the crime to show you the front of the house and the back of the house. This area is familiar to the Queen. I know people who live right there where the house sits. And it's all baffling listening to everybody give their rendition of their dealings with Mr. Finnegan and Miss Dishman. Because in the end, this woman could have been saved had somebody done the right thing. But when you're dealing with the devil, all bets are off. Nobody cared. That's the point of the story. Nobody cared. This lady, black lady, trying to help her be a friend. She's telling you in court, her dressing up. Rebecca was childlike in behavior. The husband said the same thing. She was simple. She was flipping her hair when his male friend was around, but he was married. But he really didn't think that she was trying to come on to him, but she seemed, giddy. The wife saying she couldn't do things for herself. Husband saying she needed to care herself. She dressed up like, childlike for Halloween. And the wife took her trick-or-treating. But when you look at Rebecca, you come away with your own ideology of who she is. It's obvious she had something going on with her. Cognitive issues. Slow is what is probably the best way to describe it. She's slow, but she also knows how to have sex. She knows how to send text messages. So you have to decide, hey, what you believe. Her role was, during this time, Miss Paxton was in their peripheral. What role did she play? You're never going to know, because why is she going to tell you, yes, I was cutting her, touching her inappropriate, sodomizing her? She's not going to tell you that. Only a fool will tell you that. But then some would say, well, I think she told the truth. As the state said in court today, she's been truthful with us. But then some will say, well, she told different versions. You're entitled to believe what you want. Because what have I always told you about true crime? You're never going to get the whole truth to every little thing that's been done and said by people. And when you're dealing with this he said, she said, which the court won't allow, you can't get the whole truth because they won't allow you to say what somebody said. Can't say, he said, she said, they told me. So we have Dishman engaging in kinky sex, thought it was going to be kinky sex, and then wrong. He became violent with her, Mr. Finnegan. But she stayed. And some will judge her for that. Well, you stayed. Why would you stay? He was violent. Well, people are violent with people all the time and people stay, so you can't judge her for that. Kinky sex, rough sex, got too rough, she still stayed. Can't judge her for that either because, as I said, people stay with people for all types of reasons. And one reason you wouldn't stay, another person would. Lying, stealing, rough sex, forced sex, bringing other parties in to have sex, kinky sex, dominant sex, abuse, physical, mental, verbal. Thousands of reasons you can put up with a person's demeanor. Okay? 1,000 reasons. But it's been noted by the friends, Mahogany and Mr. Colt, she had some developmental issues, couldn't take care of herself. Then we have the other neighbor at the end who, to me, she's just as bland as they are. I noticed her in court, something about her I don't care for. She was a mother, but yet she didn't have the audacity to go tell these people, hey, you're making too much noise. Hey, I got a kid to put to sleep. I find all that baffling. They're asking her in court, well, why didn't you say anything? Oh, it's none of my business. So you see, this woman could have been helped possibly. We will never know because nobody wanted to say anything to these people about the noise, banging, hollering, screaming, arguing, whatever the hell they were doing. Nobody wanted to say anything. Wasn't my business. Mr. Coates said the same thing. I don't get in people's business. I'm from Chicago. I came down here to straighten my life out. Not a smoker. My wife, yes, smoked with Mr. Finnegan. They were weed smokers. Now everybody and their mama knows she smokes weed. So she might want to be careful with that. Checkmate. Didn't smoke in the house because she had kids. But what's interesting is the freezer situation. Let's talk about that for a second. Now, in court, she testified, Ms. Mahogany, that she was there when it arrived, but yet they're going back and forth to state the defense of when the freezer was there, wasn't there, who ordered it, it was already there. Dishman said he already had it. In the end, what did I tell you? You're never going to get the whole truth because you're dealing with the devil. So how can you get the truth when you're dealing with Satan? You can't. But the black lady said she saw it when it came. So that means it couldn't have been already there. Why should it lie about a damn freezer? Anywho, this is where the victim was stored. So imagine a freezer sitting in a house, and perhaps she could have been sitting in the damn freezer while the black lady sitting in there smoking and chiefing and laughing and talking because she saw the freezer. Then she said she came back, maybe it was a couple days later, the freezer was gone. Stay woke. But what I'm trying to get you to do is paint a perfect picture because it ain't perfect. Imagine sitting in somebody's house talking and you look at a freezer sitting there in the damn living room. Wow, what's this? Oh, yeah, they sent the wrong freezer. They sent it to the wrong address. I thought about that today because I think some people miss that. A queen is woke. I'm always woke. See, it couldn't have been Angela in the room because Angela would have called it out. Okay? Well, we're going to take care of that. A freezer standing upright in the living room, and you're sitting there laughing, talking, and you, hey, what's this? Y'all got freezer trouble? Oh, yeah, they sent it to the wrong house. See, Queen would have said, well, why is it sitting here? Because that doesn't make any sense either, if you're paying attention. The freezer has to be able to first be on the porch, checkmate. Somebody has to knock at the door. Ding, ding, ding. Knock, knock, knock. Hey, freezer guy. Okay. Oh, I have a freezer for you. The landlord sent you a freezer. Oh, no, he made a mistake. We don't need a freezer. Bingo card. Ain't nobody paying attention. Ain't nobody paying attention. How would the freezer get inside if I didn't order the freezer and I don't need a freezer? You see, the black girl probably wasn't paying attention because she probably was high. And this is what happens when you mess around with drugs, dope, whatever. You're not paying attention to what's sitting right in front of you. The freezer should have never made it inside if indeed that's the version they gave to her. But when you're doped up, you're not paying attention. Because if it was Queen, because I don't smoke dope, I would have said, well, why is it in your house? You didn't order it, so why did you tell them to bring it in? Bingo card. Somebody wake up because somebody's asleep. That wasn't mentioned in court. See, these are the things they miss in court. The shit that don't make no sense. Because people will ask 1,000 questions. The state will ask the witness something, the defense. But see, what you were supposed to say to her was, well, you didn't ask them why it was there, knowing they made a mistake. You got to lift it up first. You got to lift it from the van, carry it to the door, knock on the door, ask the person, hey, this freezer's for you. And then you're supposed to respond. No, it's not for me. I didn't order it. So it would have never made it inside. See, those are the things that people miss, the little things. But see, that girl wasn't paying attention when she's sitting there looking at a damn freezer. Well, why is it here? Then you tell them it was the wrong door. Then how did it get inside? Landlord can't make you keep a freezer that wasn't intended for you. Checkmate. Ding, ding, ding. Oh, it's for somebody else. Okay, then take it to him or her house. It ain't sitting in here. Because guess what? It would have never made it inside. Bingo card. Y'all missed that in court. Defense attorney, state attorney, come on now. Y'all got to stay on your game. So the black lady says, okay, today going to be the day. You ready to leave, Sean? Yep, ready to go. Okay, let's pack up all the stuff. Haul up all the stuff. Husband called around for shelters. There was one up in Campbell County, Claiborne County, wherever the hell it is. And on this ride, Rebecca decides she wants to play confession. Woo! Dangerous game. Hey, I want to tell you about that time I molested somebody's kid, me and Sean Finnegan. That should have been the point where the car ran off the road. What say you in the chat? Because I think at this point, my car would have probably run off the damn road. You did what? And you'd have been in my house with my children? Ding, 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 ding. Didn't hear that in court either. She's talking softly about her friend Rebecca, but she didn't get hyped like the typical, characterization of a black woman. You supposed to got crunk in that damn car. You did what? With who? Oh, hell no. You raped the children and you'd have been in my house. I didn't hear none of that in court. Ding, ding, ding. Yeah, she wanted her to get rid of her because at this point she probably is repulsed. Because I don't know which one she told first. Hey, we killed the lady. She's in the freezer. Or, hey, I've been raping kids. Take your pick. Any, mini, money, mo. But guess what? Black lady said, oh, she getting the hell up out of him. And I'm going to play this cool. Because guess what? We got to think about it. She just told me that there's a dead lady in the freezer. I best not act a damn fool, even though I'm the one in control of the wheel of the car. Right. Because that's what we do, is it not? We say what we would do, wouldn't do. Let's ask that question. I'm going to put that on a poll. Somebody's in your car confessing to child rape and murder. What do you do? Ding, ding, ding. Shut your mouth. Do you pull over and tell them get the fuck out your car? And take all that shit and throw it out on the highway? Because I couldn't drove no car with her in there. Because I'd had too many questions and my mind would have been all over the place knowing I've been smoking weed with her. I've been in that house and saw that funky freezer. She's been over to my house around me and my kids. What do I do? But she did the right thing. She called her husband. She also alerted the police. But the thing that's interesting is that when you watched her in court this week, you didn't feel or see somebody crump. Like, I'm disturbed, I'm perturbed, I can't believe it, I'm shocked. She's been in my house, I have children. I didn't hear none of that. I didn't hear none of that. Because most people would have been pissed off knowing that they've been friendly with you and you are now confessing to murder or witnessing a murder and child rape. That's a lot to digest in a car ride, shall I say. Really, it doesn't matter where the conversation took place. You should be mortified. So I'm not going to judge the black lady. I'm just going to say, damn. Have they had contact with one another? I'm curious. Mahogany and Rebecca Dishman. Has she gone to the jail to check on her friend? We also learned that Rebecca's had some issues in jail with a guard. Obviously, she was liking the guard or having some type of relationship with a guard, and she found out another inmate was liking the guard, and she threatened to kill the other inmate. Now, some would say, woo, that's dicey, queen. Indeed, it is. Is it true, though? Some could say, hey, yeah, why not? They've already done it to Jennifer. What's another dead body? She also knows she's never coming out of prison. So I can threaten you all damn day. What can they do? Throw me in a hole? Exactly. I ain't got nothing to live for, no way. But then the state says, well, she didn't do it. Well, maybe she didn't have a way to do it. Don't know. But what's depressing, what are you doing wanting to take up with an inmate that's raped a child and is in there for murder? I'll let that sit right there. And they didn't clarify if it was a man or a woman. Ooh. Uh-oh. Say it again, Queen. They didn't clarify if it was a man or a woman guard. Shut your mouth. Because we know she likes men and women. Allegedly. So which is it? Did she threaten to kill another inmate over a guard? Corrections officer, whatever you want to call it. How did Sean feel listening to that? Because I'm sure he was ate up. But you couldn't tell because he was staring off in his face. He didn't blink. I don't think he blinked once while he was in court. If he did, hell, I missed it. Because I was sitting there thinking that. What is he thinking now listening to all this stuff come out about Rebecca? Her threatening to kill an inmate, her having relationships with a guard, her texting other men, using neighbors' phones, sending dirty texts, which she was sending him dirty texts too. Mahogany found that out once law officials did the data on the phone. She gave her a phone as well. A lot of back and forth in the court. State versus the defense. The defense today cried and moaned. He's been crying ever since he got on the case. Crying about he said, she said, what people couldn't testify and say. But that's the point. When people talk, they don't know how to talk appropriately in court. Court says you can't repeat what somebody said, but that's not how we navigate. When we tell a story, we repeat what people say. He said, she said. It's what we do. We're human. But the court won't allow it. He said, she said. You have to basically tell how you responded to what somebody did, but you can't say what he or she said. Quite aggravating for me. Defense was wanting a mistrial because somebody slipped up and said something. He said, she said. No, brother, ain't gonna be no mistrial. Ain't nobody about to do this over. Ain't about to be no repeat now. I can't take it back now. The jury's already heard what they said, blah, 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 blah. You don't know what the jury's probably heard about the case. Probably on their phone searching, which they weren't supposed to do, but they're human. They're not supposed to discuss it with anybody. Bet you somebody has. Better hope it don't get back. Probably discuss it amongst the jury. Ain't supposed to do that. God forbid we have a repeat of a murder situation. Because people are human is what they do. They break protocol. But please don't. Please don't discuss this case with nobody until you give a verdict. No judge will let Finnegan walk free anyway. If there was a mishap, he still would be remanded to jail. He sat there motionless for days, never blinking, staring off into space, staring at the desk. Imagine that. He stared off. When our medical examiner stepped up there, she works for Anderson and Knox County. She knows her shit. She knows her craft. Defense, he arguing that because she wasn't the one to perform the autopsy, you know, or when the lady first got on the table. So as she said in court, no, I wasn't the one with the scalp. Oh, that was slide slick. I loved it. But she still knows her craft, and she signed off on the guy who processed the body in the body wounds. The defense argued everything he possibly could. He was nauseating, I must say. That's why I can't wait for this to be over with. But in the end, he's trying to put it all off on Rebecca. It's all her. She was there the most. She was home with the body. She knew what tattoos she had and what scar was where, blah, 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 blah. Well, that doesn't mean anything, as the state said. Finnegan had to come home at some point. That's his house, his freezer, his dog collars, chains, padlocks. You see where I'm going. He's the one with the money, the job. He's the one that's going to buy plastic bags, shower curtains. She said it in court. Oh, he came home with a shower curtain, this and that. I thought it was for the house. No, it was to wrap up the dead lady or the lady to be dead. She didn't have no money. She didn't have a job. He wants to portray her as a user, manipulator. She can't get along with people. She's been put out everywhere she went. This was a free hustle to find somewhere else to live. Probably so. So what? The defense talked a good game in his head, but the point is he talked around Jennifer Paxton. And that's where I have the problem. He talked around the dead lady. Everything was about Rebecca. What he should have said was just called her Marsha. Marsha did this. Sean, he couldn't have done this because he was at work. He came home at 5, 6 in the morning. Your assumption is what? He slept up until he went back to work at 5. Come on now. We know that's not true. Because one, he likes to get high. He's a sadist. So he ain't sleeping as soon as he gets home. And we've learned a lot of people don't go to bed as soon as they get off of work, no matter what the hour is. And the girl next door, Kelsey, said she heard, the bannerman slamming, the headboard hitting the wall like somebody was having sex. That was 11, 12 o'clock in the morning, afternoon. So Miss Francis, I don't think, was getting any good sex, rough sex. That was Finnegan, Rebecca, and maybe possibly this dead lady, Jennifer, who's to say? Other people were coming and going. 2 other women were mentioned. So that's baffling too. 2 other people coming and going, but they don't end up dead or missing. 2 women. So that means they didn't have a place to stay. Why would they be coming and going, crashing, having sex with both Sean and Rebecca? So what was so special about Jennifer that she would end up unalive? I think it's the obvious. She's the one nobody's going to miss. She's the one nobody knows I've brought here. So Mahogany was asked, did she know of Jennifer? She said no. I think it was asked of Colt too, her husband. So that means it was easier to knock her off because nobody knows she's here, allegedly. My neighbors don't know her. So I can knock her off, play these funny games with her, and then kill her, store in a freezer. Then you got to ask that question, why preserve Jennifer Paxton? As it was said in court today, she was the trophy. Rebecca tells us he liked to play funny games with her while she was in the freezer, opening it up and masturbating to her. Now let the defense tell it, well, we didn't find any semen DNA in there of his. Really? Nobody said he had to ejaculate in the damn freezer. Come on now. Stop playing stupid. He opened it up, touched himself, and relieved himself. Do the math. Just imagine that, because I don't really want to, but it was said in court, so let's go there. Imagine coming out of the shower. You've participated and or watched your boyfriend kill a woman, and you woke up and the person don't know that you're behind them allegedly, and you're watching them jack off to a frozen body in a freezer. Just imagine. Frozen body, and he's jacking off. And you look at his photograph here. You look at that face. That's the thing that unalived Jennifer Paxton. Stoic, cold, no blinking, eyes wide open. Like a deer in headlights. That was the image that was portrayed in court this week. That is the real Sean Finnegan. No emotion, no feeling. Even when he was in interrogation, they show that in court. He looked down the whole time while the cop was talking to him about the dead body in the freezer. It was kind of muffled because right then that was around COVID, after COVID, August 2020. and he's just blah, 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 but he's never looking at the officer. Why not? You don't even look at him once? Wasn't me. Try to put it all off on her. Oh, I came home, she was dead. Okay, well, if she's dead, why did you call 911? So that's what the defense wants everybody to think, that he goes to work, stays gone a long time, and the girlfriend, Rebecca, is the one that killed Jennifer. But what makes no sense is that if this is true, you knew that she was dead and you put a padlock on her, chained her to the bed. Who chains up a dead person? Even if we're not to believe she was chained up, who puts her in the freezer? Why would you put her in the freezer? And as the state said tonight, oh, he's already admitted that he participated with the victim, with Rebecca, tying her up, chaining her up. That's not something you would do to a person if you want to get them out of your house, get them medical care. And who's going to tie up a dead person? Say, well, now Rebecca told us he chained her up. I believe it. And they possibly found DNA on the chains belonging to the dead lady. Body mutilated. I learned today the letter S was carved into her buttocks. Now, why would Rebecca want to carve the letter S? Her name starts with an R. His name starts with an S. So we learned you cut off her ear. You carved an S in her butt cheek. You cut off her nose. There's a gash on her throat. 5 ligature marks, allegedly with a shoestring, per Ms. Dishman, her testimony. Gashes to her head, 1 to the forehead that was to the bone. Gashes to the back of her head, back, legs, inside of her arms, hands, defense wounds on her hands. And that's not all of them, as the medical examiner said in court yesterday. That's just some of them. So when you looked at that dummy sitting in the courtroom with all those red and black dots, that wasn't all the wounds on the victim. So in the end, it doesn't matter if they were all inflicted before, during death, after death, by Mr. Finnegan or Rebecca. The point is, Jennifer didn't do them to herself. That's the point. And this is your house. You live there with your mother. You also have a previous kidnap allegation that didn't make it into this trial. That lady was bruised up, banged up. I brought you that conversation the other day. You did this to Jennifer Paxton. Now, whatever the role is that Rebecca played, she's still guilty because she went along with watching. So you're guilty in the state of Tennessee. You knew she was tied up in there. You were trying to have sex with her or had sex with her against her will. It's a crime, bottom line. Whether you are mentally defective or not. And I think there is something wrong with Rebecca mentally. She's slow. But at some point, she knew this was wrong because she testified to it at the beginning of the trial this week. She felt bad that the lady was tied up, but you couldn't help her. She couldn't get out the padlocks. And that's where 911 would come in. When they were fighting in the living room, all you had to do was jump in. Hey, stop, leave her alone. This isn't right. Don't do this. You're going to hurt her. Why are you hitting her with a bat? Goes from the kitchen to the living room to the kitchen to the whatever. Back and forth, you're fighting room to room. You all take her upstairs and chain her up. How are you not guilty, Mr. Finnegan? At this point, you're supposed to be getting her aid. Since you say it's all Rebecca. No, I think it played out just the way Ms. Dishman said. You were in the kitchen. She was in the kitchen. She had took a shower, cooked food, and you turned on her here with a bat. You asked her about kidnapping her, and you put the plan in motion. Whether the freezer was there beforehand, padlocks were there beforehand. The point is, it was an intricate plan. So you can call it first-degree murder, second-degree murder. He's guilty, in my opinion. Now, the defense talked badly about Rebecca and her sex games and sex talk, texting on phones. Well, that's her choice how she wants to talk sexually. She might be mentally slow, but she's still a human being. And somebody's engaged with her in sex, so that's where she pick up all the sex talk. And there are a lot of people who talk sex talk, so let's not act like everybody is free from talking sex talk with a person. You just weren't expecting to hear it and see it in a text message. But she's a human being. Dominance is the state's claim against Mr. Finnegan, that he dominated Rebecca. He was the master, she was the slave. At some point, she may have liked it. At some point, she may not have. But eventually, she did leave. And that's the point of the story as well. At some point, Rebecca got tired of being a slave, got tired of being used and abused by this man, beat up, hit, eyewitness, participant. She bailed out. But she carried bones with her in bailing out. And that's where there's a problem. She stayed too long. Because the first time he put his hands on her and pushed her, she hurt her leg, she said. That's when she should have left him. And that way she would have her freedom right now. Why she stuck along with this man, I have no idea. Why she participated in the sex, possible the torture as well, I do not know. But you can tell she's green, the way she talks, she's mild-mannered, mild-spoken, but she is a sexual creature. She role plays, blah, blah, blah. That's still her choice. Everybody has a kinky side or a different sexual side. There's not a human that doesn't have it. And nobody has to go out here and prove to somebody, oh, yeah, I'm a really nice lady, but yeah, I like a little sex with a toy, or that's your choice. It's nobody's business. And you heard the defense talking about that. Oh, she brought the sex toys and the butt plugs and the blah, blah, blah. Okay, so what? She's a young lady that's into sexual things. Sex talks, sex objects. She still has something wrong with her. And she didn't have sense enough to bail out. I'm not making excuses for her, but he found somebody green. And they said she's the one that reached out to him. That was mentioned in court today, which I found baffling too. Why would she be reaching out to Sean Finnegan? For what reason? What was it about him that she said, oh, I want to talk to this guy? So she had to see something in his Facebook post for her to think, oh, that's a good catch. That's a guy I want to be with. That's a guy I want to hook up with. I think it was just the obvious. She needed a place to stay. That was mentioned in court today. That perhaps she was on her way out of the last place, or she thought she was going to get put out. So she was looking for a victim, however you want to look at it, place to stay. Well, wasn't he doing the same? So they were tit for tat. She's looking for a place to stay. He's looking for a plaything, plural. And I think he liked young girls, because I won't doubt those women that were coming and going, they probably were younger than Mr. Finnegan. And by the grace of God, they're alive. And I'm sure they're thinking about that right now. That could have been me. Exactly. Because what do we learn about sadists? Once they've been caught and or arrested, charged, prison time, jail time, or allegation brought forward and the court can't prove it, they know next time not to leave a warm body. And I do believe that's what happened here. Sean knew not to leave her alive. Can't have her running out and repeating what we did to her. Already had that happen in Blount County. Can't let that happen again. Oh, no. We can't have that. I believe that's exactly what happened. Because this is what people don't seem to understand about people with deviances, such as high sex drive, propensity to rape, sodomize. There will never be enough. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's like a drug. It's the reason why people keep getting high. Because you're looking for the same high that you initially got the first time and you can't ever get it back. So you keep getting high, but you can't get no higher and you can't make your mind understand that. You can't make your body understand that. Well, deviant behavior is the same. Sexual assault, child molestation, rapes, all the same. You're trying to get that high, that rush you got the first time, but you can't get it back. So you go deeper, deeper, deeper. So now we're kidnapping, sodomizing, torture, strangulation, cutting the body, bruising the body, beating the body. That still ain't enough. Now we've killed the person, still ain't enough. We're masturbating to a corpse, still ain't enough. That's the point. Because it can't never be enough. Have you ever noticed that? That the things that are done wrong, you can never get enough. Because one, you're sick. So torture, mutilation, rape is no different than chasing heroin, crack. You're sick. And you don't know that you're sick. So you keep going like the Energizer Bunny, but it ain't enough because it can't be enough because you're sick. The deviance is sick. And he would have done it again had Rebecca never told. Checkmate. Right now in Clinton, Tennessee, 12 members of the jury probably have their heads going in circles. Some probably have already formed an opinion that they're going to fry his ass, as they should. You can believe Rebecca didn't have an active role, or you can believe she did. But in the end, there was no saving Miss Paxton. She was the perfect victim, as the state said in court today. Nobody thought she had anybody that would care about her, but they were wrong. And they were in court this week to show their love for her. On the other side of the scene, there were a few women in the back. I was trying to figure out why they were there, and I think I don't want to know. Because sadly, I won't doubt that Sean Finnegan already has a fan club. Because there was enough room on the prosecution side to sit. So why the fuck are you sitting over there all the way in the back on Sean Finnegan's side? I'll let that sit right there. Because I won't doubt that somebody probably has been talking to him, putting money on the commissary books and visiting him. Sean Finnegan is facing the death penalty for the brutal kidnapping, rape, torture, murder of Jennifer Paxton. She's the mother of 7 children. Lost her children to the state. I believe it's drug involved. Don't know what the fathers are. They all have the same father. Don't know what the children are. I don't even know if any of them showed up in court or not. But how terrible that must be. To now know your mother has been unalived by a stranger and tortured and put in a freezer like she was nothing. And now you have people arguing over who did what to her, what date it happened. Who cares? The defense was relentless the past couple of days in court, bickering about every damn thing he could find. Today, arguing about the date. And I believe it was around Christmas, because now it's all coming to fruition. The girl remembers having a Christmas tree up, the neighbor, Kelsey, the person I talked to who wasn't in court, somebody else. Oh yeah, Queen was busy years ago talking to the neighbors. They thought it was Christmas time when they heard her scream. It was nighttime, but they didn't get up. I said, why didn't you get up? Oh, I don't know. I just did. So you didn't get up. The girl next door didn't get up, never say nothing. Then the person's house you're in, she's nosy all the fucking time. She didn't get up, never look out to see what the fuck was going on. Yeah, I said that. Talked to 3 people that were neighbors of Sean Finnegan. And everybody did the same. Nobody cared. The girl next door should have been the one to call if nobody else. Don't know if somebody was next door that shared the porch with him. Never found that out in court. Did he even have a next door neighbor that shared a porch with him? That wasn't even mentioned in court this week, or I don't remember. If so, I stand corrected. Did you see her going in, Jennifer Paxton? No, I didn't. So nobody saw this girl go in. So I guess she entered in what? The back door? Check in, but you don't check out. How fearful she must have been to think she was going to get a little money for sex, do a little drugs. We also heard she had morphine in the system. Don't know if it was drugs she was on or if it came from Sean's mother's drugs, because she had painkillers as well. But nonetheless, drugs were in her system, morphine. She was a known drug user. And she's hooked up with this man under the guise to have somewhere to stay. But little did she know, it was a ruse to torture her and then unalive her. And maybe unaliving wasn't a part of the plan, but it happened. And neither one of these people are going to say, yes, he kidnapped her to murder her. He's never going to say that because he's pled not guilty. What do you believe pertaining to Rebecca Dishman's role? Was she more of an active role than she portrayed in court? Or she sat by and watched and allowed Sean to abuse this woman, Jennifer Paxton? What do you think of the neighbors who never complained to the landlord about the noise, never complained to Sean Finnegan about the noise or his mother, never knocked on the door, never left a note, never called 911 about the noise? Are you that type of person that you allow noise to go on all types of day and night and you say nothing, you do nothing? But imagine now knowing you could have called at least the police, but you didn't. And you later find out that someone has died in that same house or apartment where the noise was coming from. And it's not to say that they wouldn't have continued to be deceptive and try to hurt the lady, because you don't have to open your door just because the police is banging on the door. What a terrible story. And I can't imagine what she was thinking, Miss Paxton, when she first got hit with the baseball bat. The bat that is believed to have come from the job. I didn't even hear if they traced the bat back to the job or not, but the bat is missing from the job. So did he steal that bat from the job? I would have loved to hear somebody say, oh yeah, here's the bat we found. Does this belong to your business? Damn, what the hell is going on? We also heard in court about the bucket, the fireball bucket, little bitty bucket. Did he steal that from the job, or he was given that bucket? Because I'm sure they got freebies at work. You know, for when you buy liquor, the companies probably give you free cups and different things with liquor memorabilia, names on the items. Did he take it, or it was a gift? That was mentioned also in court. The defense says, well, we don't necessarily know she used that bucket to go to the bathroom in. Well, all you get to do is test it for DNA. Duh. Didn't hear that was mentioned. Also heard that the padlocks weren't wiped for DNA. Well, some would say, well, what's the purpose of wiping for DNA? We already know it's his house. He touched them. They belong to him. We already know his DNA would be on. But you don't know because he didn't wipe the DNA just to see if they were wiped clean. Just saying. And then to try to put it all off on Rebecca, when it's common sense, you're the one who went and got Miss Paxton. You're the one with the car running, driving the car. You also been hurting Miss Rebecca sexually, mentally, physically, verbally. Mahogany says her glasses were broke, had a black eye. Common sense will tell anybody she didn't fall and hurt herself. But just because every day she didn't say, oh yeah, he's beating me, doesn't mean that he wasn't. So that's what the defense was trying to say. Well, she didn't talk about it all the time. The girl, Kelsey, didn't think it was true. She testified that I thought she was exaggerating. We also heard the defense say, why would she even go to that same girl? She wasn't friends with her to tell her, because she was reaching out, because that's what people do. Eventually, they want somebody to hear their problems, hear them cry, hear them moan, hear their rants. People do it all the time. We as humans do that. Check out in the store. The clerk says, what's wrong? You look sad today. And you start talking about all your damn problems. Same thing. You don't have to know people to vent. It's not recommended you do it, but people do it all the time. Having a bad damn day. The dog chewed my homework. The cat ate the rat. You see where I'm going. So on and so forth. You don't have to know anybody. But now imagine everybody involved in the story. The defendants, where they stand with each other. Has Rebecca tried to make contact with Sean in the past 4 years? Has he tried to reach out to her? Do they correspond with one another? The fact that she told the court she still loves him, that's scary as hell. The allegations against her threatening another inmate over a guard, that's scary as hell, jacked up. But she doesn't have anything to lose. She knows she's never coming out of the prison unless somebody shows a favor. And that's what she should be hoping. I'm going to act good while I'm in jail, prison, because somebody might look up one day and fight for my rights and try to get me out of here. Hell, Gypsy Rose is walking. Why not Rebecca Dishman? Stay woke. Scott Peterson's getting another try. This is the very reason why she needs to sit her ass down and be still, because we could look up 20, 30 years from now and somebody will fight for her to get out. Somebody will come with new evidence to say she didn't participate, blah, blah, blah. It'll be something. That's why she needs to behave. Because she might be able to walk free one day, because it happens all the time. This is a scary story. A very, very scary story. Because so many times in my commentary on this network, we live in a world where there is blind trust. You have to deal with people. Doesn't matter if you're a drug addict, prostitute. You have to deal with people. You have to have the butcher cut your meat. Trust they're doing right by you in the store. You got to trust the plumber, the electrician to come fix something in your house. Wi-Fi cable. You're alone with the person in your house. Stay woke. You got to get an Uber or a Lyft. You got to trust that person. You could be the Uber or Lyft driver. You got to trust the passenger. So to say what a person should and shouldn't do, it's neither here nor there. Because it's not realistic to think a person is not going to have dealings with another human being and be alone with them. It's unheard of. There's no such thing. Don't do it. How are you going to date a person if you're never alone with him or her? Help me understand. I put that on my community post. Ladies, please be careful. Somebody wants to come in bickering about what you should and shouldn't do, but it's not feasible. You're not going to go out here in the world and date and never be alone with a man or a woman. At some point, you're going to want to have intimate time with a human being. You're not going to have your mother there, your brother there, your sister there, your bestie there. Well, hey, I want to have sex with him tonight. Will you come over? Come on now. You go out on a date for a month, 2 months, 3 months, 5 months, 6 months. At some point, you're going to want to be alone with him or her. And the person who seems so nice, so kind, can flip the switch. I got her now. And can do the same thing that this man and Rebecca did to Miss Paxton. And someone say, I don't know how I can wait that long. Why not? What do I always say? Don't ask why, ask why not. I did it because I could. I can. You're thinking for yourself. You're not thinking as a sadist. They stalk, they pray, they watch. So if a sadist sees something he likes, some lady he wants to come on to, flirt with, online, off, at the store, at the job, if it takes him 2 to 3 months to get close to her, he will do it if that's what he wants. This is why you can't say what somebody wouldn't do. You can only speak for you, what you would and would not do, or what you think you would and would not do. But people are stalked every day, watched every day, preyed on every day. You don't know people. Every day I go to YouTube Q, I get sick of the stories. Guy kidnapped a little kid the other day or whatever. Had just tried to do it with a 15-year-old earlier because he had put in his mind, this is what I'm going to do today. And I don't care about the risk. So you know you're crazy if you attempt 2 kidnappings in one day, 2 different jurisdictions. Okay, well, let me go over here to this town, pick up me a kid over here. And he almost got away with it till people intervened. The aunt and a male bystander. Now imagine a prostitute, as the state said today in court. Perfect victim, somebody who's eagerly choosing to get in your car for a ride, money, sex, whatever. You assuming she don't got friends, don't got family, nobody's gonna miss her. Look what she's doing. She don't care about herself, no respect for herself. But who are you to say she is not worthy of life? You don't have that right. Because you're no better than she is. You're buying the sex. That's what amazes me about these men out here who think it's okay to torture, kidnap, sodomize, rape a prostitute. Why you gotta rape her? She's willingly gonna get in the car with you to go have sex. You're gonna rape her. Not gonna pay her for her services. You're gonna rape, torture her. My thing is, if you do it to her, you do it to anybody. There's no stipulations. She's just easier prey. Because if you could have your way, you do it to the co-worker, the lady next door, the lady downstairs in the apartment building. Say, well, it's just you would probably get caught with the neighbor, the co-worker, too many cameras. But the prostitute, out of sight, out of mind. What will the jury decide pertaining to Sean Finnegan? Will they say yay or will they say nay? Will they believe he was manipulated by Rebecca? He was just a lonely old guy wanting attention. And I do believe Sean Finnegan is a lonely person because loneliness begets loneliness. Does it not? He didn't want that last lady to leave back in 2015 that he kidnapped, allegedly. He didn't want Miss Paxton to leave, which is very bizarre. And he didn't want Rebecca to leave because we hear the mother yelled out the window when she saw she was leaving and called him. He hurried back from work. So I thought, well, how did that work out? Small dive bar, I assume he's the only cook. So, you know, you just left work because your girlfriend's packing up, leaving? He wanted control. And he knew he lost control. So I got to get back. I got to see what's going on. Mama said she's left me. So now he's going off on the neighbors, arguing, blah, blah, blah. Guy says he threatened him in court. Then they say he didn't tell the police that. It doesn't really matter who said what. The point is Sean wanted control. So yes, he left his job to drive all the way back from North Knoxville to Oak Ridge to make sure this girl had not left him. How dare she leave me? How dare she carry our secrets out of this house? And that's what's so scary about this story, besides what was done to Miss Paxton, that everybody was holding this secret and everybody was in close proximity. If you look at my video, you will see how close the neighbors' houses are. And all this is going on. But only 3 in the house held the secret. And the mother knew what was going on. We cannot leave Miss Frances out. Now, she is no longer alive, but she held the secret too. And I think it's interesting that nobody talked about that in court. How could she not know? The defense tried to portray her as today, oh, Sean said she didn't know, she didn't hear anything. Bullshit. She heard everything that went on from the time the door opened until the time the door closed. She knew who was coming in, who was going out. She heard that woman getting beat up downstairs. That's why she was trying to come down there. Missed me with this. Oh, she was trying to get her medicine. Medicine my ass. What the hell's going on down there? What's all that damn noise? She heard everything. Dragging the girl up there, tying her up. She's whimpering, hollering. They're raping her. He's raping Rebecca. Mommy Dearest heard it all. Nasty old lady. She has a new meaning of nasty lady in the old shoe. She heard it all. Imagine your mother listening to your escapades with 2 women. One's tied up in the floor. Taking turns, everybody's raping each other, slobbering on each other, just nasty heathens. Hear you bringing the freezer up, banging around. What the hell is all that noise? She heard it all. And that's something nobody touched on in court. And you all should have. The state, you should have touched on that. Mommy Dearest heard it all. You know why we know? Because she was yelling out of the window when Rebecca packed up her stuff to leave, saying, I'm going to call Sean, I'm going to call Sean. Going to tell him you're leaving. Don't sound like somebody in hospice to me. I said that. I've seen people in hospice and on their deathbed that I can say my mother didn't jump off a respirator to see what anybody was doing in the hospital, and my father didn't jump up out of his hospital bed to see what we were doing and saying outside of the damn room. So this is an interesting story. The defense has put on, she was so sickly, but she could jump up and yell out of a fucking window. You see, everything's about perception. And that's what this defense has done. Beat a dead horse for days. That Rebecca's the culprit. Sean knew nothing. He just went along for the ride. She was the manipulator. She was the grand poobah of this story. No, she was just a fool. A willing participant. Whether she tortured the lady or not, I don't know. Some will say she did, some will say she didn't. We don't have proof of what she did or didn't do, but it doesn't matter. She was there and she could have helped preserve the life of Miss Paxton had she intervened. As quick as she watched, she could have picked up something and beat Sean over the head her damn self. She could have ran from him when he first put his hands on her, allegedly. But I will tell you this, that even if she had left Sean in the beginning, he still would have found Jennifer Paxton. Checkmate. And I don't think, and listen to me very carefully, because some of you are going to say, oh my goodness, Queen, don't do it. But I'm going to do it. Despite whatever Rebecca did or did not do in that house with Sean, to the victim, had she not opened her mouth, you probably would not know Jennifer Paxton was dead, because he saw her frequenting the area, the bar, he would have invited her back with or without Rebecca being in his home. And that's what some of you need to understand. And that should have been said in court. Jennifer was in the picture all along. I do believe that. I think he had been seeing her, eyeing her, watching her walk in and out of the business, using the restroom, frequenting the area. So he would have invited her back whether he met Rebecca or not. Because she was going in the business using the restroom where he worked. So their paths crossed and were going to cross anyway. Whether he had other women coming and going, Rebecca, Jennifer probably still would have met the same fate, whether Rebecca was in the picture or not. And the one thing I do believe, as I'm saying to you, if Rebecca had never met him, we probably would not know Jennifer Paxton existed. And I think she would still be in that freezer as I speak right now. And nobody would have known the truth because he wasn't going to go tell somebody he kidnapped a woman, raped, tortured her, and put her in the freezer. She would still be probably in that freezer right damn now. The fact that he locked the closet, he put that freezer in the closet, locked it, as they said today in court, he changed the locks. Who does that if they have nothing to hide? Can't put it all off on Rebecca. And her story sounds reasonable to me. He kidnapped the lady. He's the one that brought her there. He wanted her there, didn't want her to leave. Told the girl at work he had 2 women there taking care of his mother. But Jennifer had to go. I won't doubt she was already dead when he told the lady that at work, the manager. And you can jog your memory back to Scott Peterson. Is that not what he told Amber Fry? I'm not married. Well, you weren't married because she was already dead. Checkmate. I do believe she was already dead when he told that girl at work that. Yeah, I got them both there, but Jennifer's got to go. You see, only a fool tells that she even made it there in the first place. Why even tell it? So now I can flip it 2 ways. He planned it out, had to talk about it because it was itching him. Or he brought her there and hoped she'd stay, but it wasn't working out with the other chick, Rebecca. Maybe Rebecca got jealous. Could have. And he said Jennifer had to go. So you're never going to know the truth. And that's what was said in court today. You're not going to get the actual date of death, actual date she got there, because it was deception. Everybody was there for deceptive purposes. And as they say in the street, how are you going to get something right from something wrong? You can't. You don't know how long she was there, how long she was tied up. If it started out okay and then it jumped off, day 1, day 2, day 3, don't know. How long was she there? Don't know. Now they're pushing towards end of December, January. But the girl who testified, Kelsey, says she believes it was Christmas time because her tree was still up when she heard the banging, the slamming, the headboard hitting the wall. And she usually takes her tree down a week or so into the first of the new year. And she seems cold to me as well. That's the very reason why she never cared about what Rebecca had to say about being abused by Sean. She didn't give a fuck. As she said, I mind my own business. Well, I hope, Kelsey, that you're never in a situation like Miss Paxton or Rebecca, because I feel like what goes around comes around. that one day you'll be in one of their shoes and you'll be needing some help and you'll be needing assistance and you'll wish somebody could hear you. You'll wish a car drive by or somebody opens the door. You may one day be sitting in the same shoes as one of these women and somebody will do the same that what you did. Oh, I think I'll let that pass. I'll let that noise slide. Because we as people, some of us don't want to engage in other people's problems. We don't want to intervene. We see a guy yelling and screaming at a lady, a kid. They're snatching them up, punching them. I don't want to get hit. I don't want to get hurt. But the right thing to do is to at least call 911 if nothing else. Why be a bystander to what can eventually become a crime when all you have to do is call 911? Yell out the window, hey, put that down, put that kid down, put that lady down. Just stand there and watch and gawk, and then run to the news later when the story breaks, because that's usually what happens in these cases. Everybody wants to talk to the news about what they heard and what they saw. And sadly, this Kelsey chick, she wouldn't have anything to say to anybody had it not broke to the news. That's what made her come forward to speak. She saw the story. Isn't that something? And as I recollect back in time, as I said, she has to be the same person I talked to who said the same thing. Oh, yeah, it was a lot of banging, but I didn't do anything. She seemed empty then. As I said, hopefully she won't end up in that situation. Exactly. See something, say something. Be a part of the solution, not the problem. And the children that they assaulted, that's another part of the story we don't hear anything about. Whose children are they? Who initiated the sex with the children? Because we hear they kept some kids and molested some children. That's why Ms. Dishman has an additional 50 years onto her life sentence. And she has to do all of the 50 mandatory. So she's only 26. She's got to do all 50 first of the child molestation charges. She'll be almost 80 years old. More than likely, she will probably die in prison. Most definitely. And I do believe Tennessee law is correct in giving you the death penalty for any type of salacious crimes against children. Automatic death penalty. Amen. You don't deserve to walk around. You don't deserve to get out of prison after 6-7 years of touching, raping a kid. Your ass needs to die in prison. Preferably a needle to the arm. I don't care. Gas chamber, all the same to me. That crime should have been on the books a long time ago. Because this is why we keep having repeat offenders walking around. That's why they cut off the ankle monitors, because they know they can't live the way they want to live. They can't live near schools, churches, daycares. Well, there's a school and a daycare near every corner in America. This is why they go on the run. They go underground, because it's hard for them to live. But that's their choice. It's a choice they made. We have sadists out here. If they're not trying to assault the children, they're trying to assault women, men. They don't care. And this is the point of this story here. You don't know people. So as quick as that defense is putting all these innuendos out there, state doing the same about Miss Dishman's role, Sean's role, the point is, Jennifer Paxton did not end up in that freezer on her own. She did not make it to Oak Ridge on her own. She did not tie herself up on her own. She did not get beat sliced up, bound on her own. She did not sustain her injuries before, during, and after death on her own. And nor did she put herself into a freezer for 8 months on her own and crawled her way out dead to thaw out under a bed on her own. Sean Finnegan did that with the help of Rebecca Dishman. Let's look at my community page and I will check out of here. Thank you for joining me. Once again, court will resume tomorrow in Clinton, Tennessee, pertaining to Sean Finnegan. And I just got a notification. Where is Amber Fry now? Wow, look at that. Isn't that something? The devil must have heard me talking. Take the polls, everybody, on my community page. Matter of fact, let's go into the belly of the beast. So you don't know people. Sick world we live in. You're welcome, babe. Right here. This content was uploaded March 5th, 2021. According to police, 52-year-old Sean Finnegan and his girlfriend, Rebecca Dishman, have been identified as suspects. The two suspects met over social media in 2019, according to officials. Oak Ridge Police Department Sergeant Marvell Moore was the first witness called to the stand. Moore recalled being called on August 5th, 2020 to investigate an incident in which a female was murdered. Moore said during the interview, Dishman admitted that Finnegan brought 36-year-old Jennifer Paxton to their home. According to Moore, Finnegan brought Paxton to his home and told Dishman that Paxton would be staying with them for a while. Finnegan said Paxton was homeless and needed a place to live. Investigators said shortly after Finnegan told Dishman to go to the top of the stairs to make sure his mother, who also lived in a home, didn't come down the stairs. Dishman told Moore she then heard a loud scream from Paxton and ran back downstairs. Dishman said she witnessed Finnegan hitting Paxton over the head repeatedly with a baseball bat in the kitchen of the apartment. Dishman said she was instructed by Finnegan to clean up the blood. Finnegan then took Paxton up the stairs and took her into the bathroom where they cleaned her up. The couple allegedly took Paxton to the bedroom where she was chained to the bed by Finnegan. Dishman said Finnegan raped Paxton repeatedly. Dishman also revealed that she participated in the sexual assault. Paxton was allegedly kept in the home for a period of 3 to 4 days, according to Moore. She was given food but restricted from leaving the room. Paxton was forced to use the bathroom in a bucket, investigators said. During the 3 to 4 day period, Paxton's health began to deteriorate. Dishman told investigators Finnegan said if her condition continued to worsen, they would have to make a decision about killing Paxton. On the day of the murder, Sergeant Moore said Dishman admitted she and Finnegan unchained Paxton and took her to the bathroom where she was given a shower. Paxton was then taken back to the bedroom where she was instructed to lay face down before Finnegan took a shoestring and strangled Paxton to death. Dishman said blood was coming from Paxton's mouth and Finnegan forced her to watch the incident. Paxton was then wrapped in a plastic garbage bags and placed in a stand-up freezer, according to Dishman. Investigators said because Paxton was so tall, her neck and other bones were broken to fit her into the freezer. Dishman also said Paxton's nose and nipple were cut from her body by Finnegan. The Knoxville Police Department was able to identify Paxton as the victim after Dishman gave investigators a description, which police ran through the Knoxville missing persons reports. Dishman alerted authorities to the incident and told them Paxton's body could be found in the freezer of the home on the 300 block of East Fairview Road. Officials said that when they arrived at the home to execute a search warrant, the body was not in the freezer. Finnegan told investigators he didn't know why someone would make up a lie about there being a body in his home. Moore said the home was extremely tidy and neat, but a blanket protruding from under the bed caught his attention. Moore said he pulled the blanket from under the bed and discovered a wet trash bag and Paxton's dismembered body completely nude. In a closet downstairs, Moore located chains, padlocks, and duct tape. During an interview with investigators, Finnegan admitted to knowing the body was in his home. According to Sergeant Moore, Finnegan said he met Paxton when he paid her $20 for a sexual favor. Finnegan said he had paid Paxton $100 to come to his home and participate in sexual relations with him and his girlfriend. Finnegan said after the three engaged in sexual activity, he went to take a shower, and when he returned, he found Dishman downstairs with Paxton, who was bleeding. Finnegan said the two then Paxton upstairs and chained her to the bed. Finnegan said he panicked and put Paxton's body in the freezer sometime after Christmas. Police discovered the body in August of 2020. Officials said Finnegan and Dishman admitted to being responsible for the crimes. According to Anderson County Sheriff's Office, Dishman and Finnegan are both facing first-degree murder, aggravated rape, aggravated kidnapping, abuse of course, and tampering with evidence. WVLT is the source. I'm going to go back up and read the said information. So right there, he admits it, as the state said in court today. Why are you going to admit to putting her in a freezer? Each got their own version. Dishman versus Finnegan. Why would you put her in a freezer? Wiped her off after beating her downstairs and then take her in the room to have sex with her. Because I talked about that before. Who's having sex with somebody bloody, bleeding? She probably is disoriented from being hit in the head. Hell no, she don't want to have sex. Why would she want to do that? This is a crime scene. I filmed this years ago, a year or so or two after the murder of Jennifer Gail Paxton. This video is in my library. If you're, this is where this is unalive. For sexual pleasure, torture. And all these neighbors had no idea that she was in there. .318 East Fairview Road, Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Sits 20 minutes outside of Knoxville, Tennessee. It is a government town, a nuclear town, for those who never knew. It housed the atomic bomb. The first atomic bomb was built in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. This was the world's best kept secret. Those who are just now finding out about this small government town. People come here to work from all over the world in the United States. In the apartment where that girl stayed, that was oblivious, Kelsey. How you feel now, Kelsey? You still live there? You believe her now? She was abused by Sean Finnegan? What say you now, Miss Kelsey? How does Mahogany feel knowing she had two sadists in her company? She's been in her house, apartment, getting high with them. They came to her house. They gave them Thanksgiving plates. So you don't know people. Hello, Skylar. And the neighbors who never got involved, maybe heard something. How do you feel now, knowing that there was a dead woman in there the whole time? Dogs were barking while I was there. Sound like big dogs. Don't know who they belong to. But I know he had 2 dogs allegedly. But I never heard any mentioning of the dogs when the story broke. That's their door right there, where the grill is. This is the 1 bedroom on the end. That's the 1 bedroom. Two bedrooms in the middle. That's that door and that door. House of Horrors. Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Sean Finnegan is facing the death penalty. What will the jury vote? Will they reach a verdict by this weekend? Are all T's crossed and I's dotted? I hope so. Quiet, quaint street, small town. About 30,000 people. Government town. As I said, people go there to work from all over the United States and outside of other countries. Come to this small town to work for the national government. And little did they know, a secret was held inside of that apartment upstairs. This place is called Secret City. If you did not know, feel free to Google it. Because nobody knew that the atomic bomb was in this tiny town in the late 40s, 50s. All these units you're looking at are old units. They have been around for a very long time, these duplexes. This is the queen at the crime scene. Lord have mercy. There you have it. 318 East Fairview Road, where a woman was in a freezer upright for 8 months and nobody cared to tell the truth until it was too late. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $McAngie, 129 Cash App. Thank you for your time. I will bring you the verdict when it's time. You have been listening to The Vault XL.